Welcome back to the 2-Minute Warning, episode 418. Today I'm going over why the Miami Dolphins are the perfect landing spot for Houston Texans quarterback Deshaun Watson, who has made it very well known he wants to no longer be a Houston Texan and he wants to play elsewhere. But before getting into that topic, question for those of you viewing: who is the all-time leader in interceptions for the Miami Dolphins in franchise history? If you know the answer, comment it below. If you do not, I'll reveal the answer at the end, so make sure you stay tuned. But looking at the Dolphins, looking at the Texans, and looking at Deshaun Watson, three sides of this argument, two teams and the player, of course. The reason I like this trade is because all three of them benefit. There's some other trades and aspects and other teams that I just don't think all three sides of this trade and deal would benefit from. Looking at it, Dolphins are just a clear shout out to me because of the amount of draft capital and success they have on their team already. If Deshaun Watson went to a team like Denver Broncos, where you could throw in Deshaun Watson and they might go from a 6-10 and 7-9 team to a 9-7, 10-6, but they will not be a Super Bowl contender. The Texans wouldn't get a lot back in return, and the Broncos would be sacrificing a shit ton for Deshaun Watson. You look at the Niners, I think you can make a trade and Deshaun Watson would have success in San Francisco, but it would not be completely worth it for the Houston Texans compared to what they could get with the Miami Dolphins. And I think the only really other competitor that stands a chance at being able to offer the Texans more or just as much in the Miami Dolphins is the New York Jets, just because they have 2 first-round draft picks, but I just like the Miami Dolphins a lot better. Looking at what the Dolphins have, they of course have 2 first-round picks this year, number third overall that was acquired from the Houston Texans from a previous trade. They have 18th overall, and they have 36 overall. They got 2 second rounds as well, 36 and 50th. And in my eyes, I see 36 overall as just a really late first-round pick. Yes, of course, it's a second-round pick, but it is extremely high second-round pick to where it is almost valued just as much as a first-round pick. Typically, in the NFL draft, your picks in the first 3 rounds are worthy of being starters or, set out to be, meant to be, and intended to be. So really, Texans, they're getting a lot of value if they were able to pull off a trade. To me, the Dolphins could put a trade together, something like, of course, Tua Tagovailoa, because they don't want to have him anymore on the team if they're getting Deshaun Watson. And then they could throw together some of those picks. They could throw together their 3rd overall, which is a very highly valuable first-round draft pick. They're not getting 29th overall. They're getting number 3 overall. They could possibly get the 2nd or 3rd best quarterback coming out of this draft. They don't want to. They could get the best offensive line, pair up Laramie Tunzel and Penei Sewell, and now you have Tua Tagovailoa, who has 2 of the top offensive tackles in the league to protect him, and the Texans are finally getting something to work behind center. I do think that would be a good pair. But outside of that, like I said, they'd get Tua Tagovailoa, number 3 overall. I think they should throw in number 18 overall. I think they should throw in their number 6 overall, 36 overall, and probably another first rounder next year. It sounds like a lot. Tua Tagovailoa, 3 first-round draft picks and a really high second-round draft pick, but Matt Stafford went for 2 first rounds and a 3rd round. I think Deshaun Watson is worth 3 first rounds and a really high second round to me. And the reason I like this trade for Deshaun Watson versus a Jets team, because like I said, if the Jets traded with the Texans, they'd get something pretty similar. They'd get a number 2 overall, a number 23 overall, another first rounder, and so on and so forth. But this would benefit Deshaun Watson a lot more, because if he goes to the Miami Dolphins, they're already a 10-6 team that just missed the playoffs. When you're looking at the Jets, they're a 2-14 team. Really, a quarterback is really all the Miami Dolphins need to take them to the next level. Of course, they have some gaps, such as an offensive line and a receiving core, but having a top 5 defense, that's something Deshaun really hasn't had in his career. The Texans' defense has not been really spectacular outside of J.J. Watt, so he would love that. Dolphins have already released one of their star linebackers, Kyle Van Noy. It's a little speculative and a little questionable why they did that, but it could very well be to create cap space to afford Deshaun Watson. So if the move is for that matter, I understand it, but if they're not going after Deshaun Watson, I don't like that move. But to me, for them to release a pretty good linebacker, it has to be for better reason than we're assuming, and I think it could be for Deshaun Watson. So if you look at the Dolphins, and they have a 10-6 roster that now just has a top 5 quarterback on their team, there's no way this team does not make the playoffs. So of course the Miami Dolphins benefit, Deshaun Watson benefits because he goes to a competitor, and the Houston Texans benefit because their future of the franchise is not completely screwed. Like I said, they'll have a quarterback that is worthy of starting in Tua. He could actually turn out to be a great prospect and a great QB in the league, while there's a lot of speculation around him and he might be the next bust. It's really early to tell, and we don't know just yet. He could pan out to be great, so there's a lot of upside possibly for Tua and the Texans. You get a lot of draft capital back. Your cap space is fixed a little bit because you're not having to pay Deshaun Watson $40 million a year. You now have a rookie contract with Tua Tagovailoa, who's probably around the vicinity of, I guess, anywhere to $10 to $20 million a year. So you're saving a lot of money there. So I think all three sides benefit. Like I said, Deshaun Watson won't have a great offensive line, and the receiving core won't be the greatest, but there's the rest of the draft to work on that. The receiving core still has Devontae Parker, still has Mike Gesicki, still has Speedy Jakeem Grant, still has Preston Williams, Albert Wilson, Allen Hurns. I know all those guys aren't worthy of being great starters and don't have great hands or great speed or great route running, but they're capable of catching the ball, and they're known names around the league that have a presence that can help out Deshaun Watson. His receiving core can't get much worse. And to be honest, if Deshaun Watson goes to the Miami Dolphins, I wouldn't be surprised if he lures in his former teammate Will Fuller from the Houston Texans, who will likely be released to meet up with him in Miami. And all of a sudden, you got a pretty solid receiving core with two great wideouts, and Will Fuller, Devontae Parker, and then a great safety blanket and Mike Gesicki. And it's not as bad as you think. Offensive line, like I said, could be worked on, but you can address that in free agency. You can address that in the draft. The Miami Dolphins, well, it might seem like they need some help. There's a lot less holes on that team than there are compared to around the league. If he went to the New York Jets or if he went to Denver Broncos or Chicago Bears and so on and so forth, I just think this team is a playoff team that is ready to win now, and Deshaun Watson can even make them a Super Bowl competitor. They'll have a solid receiving core, a top 5 defense. Offensive line can be addressed. It probably won't be top-notch by any means, but it'll be viable for Deshaun Watson, a very mobile quarterback, to deal with and be able to work around. Run game, not the greatest in Myles Gaskins, but the job does get done. I think if they could keep a second-round pick, they should look at possibly drafting a running back in this draft, such as Najee Harris, Travis Etienne, Trey Sermon. I don't know if any of those three guys will still be around, but if it is, I think it's a perfect spot for the Miami Dolphins to reach out and pair up with Deshaun Watson. And if they somehow work out a deal where they still have cap space, look at some running back free agents. Todd Gurley, Le'Veon Bell aren't the stars they used to be, but they might be a cheap veteran that is worth picking up on the market and taking the risk for to pair up with Myles Gaskins. If you have two of them splitting snaps, they'll have a lot of energy and a lot of power to burst through, and I just think Deshaun Watson going to the Miami Dolphins will become a Super Bowl contender. Like I said, if he goes to the Niners, that benefits the Niners, that benefits the quarterback Deshaun Watson, but it doesn't benefit the Houston Texans as much as if they made a deal with Miami. If he went to the New York Jets, it'd benefit the Jets, it'd benefit the Texans, but Deshaun Watson would have to deal with the rebuild for a year or two. If he went to the Broncos, that's just a complete shit show. If he goes to the Miami Dolphins, Dolphins benefit, Texans benefit, and Deshaun benefits because he's with a competitor. I just think they're the perfect fit. Amazing coach in Brian Flores. He's turning out to be a great coach for them. Pretty defensive-minded, but something tells me he could put up some works together with Deshaun Watson. I think this team could be really special and instantly become a top competitor and threat to the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC. However, it would be awesome to see Deshaun Watson and Josh Allen play twice a year in the AFC East for the next 10 to 15 years if Deshaun Watson's really invested in Miami. I'd love to see this, and I can't wait to see it. If I had to bet, I think Miami is the top destination for Deshaun Watson, like I said, just because they have most to offer to the Houston Texans outside of the New York Jets. And if you're Deshaun Watson, he has a no trade clause. So if it's between those two, the Dolphins and the Jets, I'd pick the Dolphins if I were him, just because, like I said, you're instantly a competitor and you have the no trade clause. You're allowed to pick, and I would say he would pick the Dolphins versus going through a rebuild with the New York Jets. But anything is possible. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Either way, I just want to see Deshaun Watson just be dealt already. I'm tired of Houston Texans saying they don't intend to trade him and they're going to try and keep him. Yeah, that might work, but I can guarantee you, even if he's considered a Texan, he won't suit up and play as a Texan. Might as well deal him. I can't wait to see it. This quarterback carousel is already amazing in this 2021 offseason. Russell Wilson might get traded. Carson Wentz, Matt Stafford, Jared Goff, list goes on and on. Can't wait to see Watson go somewhere, and I think Miami Dolphins is a perfect fit for him because they're a ready win now situation, and he could take them there to the Super Bowl. But let me know, like I said, in the comments what you guys think. For your question of the day and video, all-time leader in interceptions in Miami Dolphins franchise history is, of course, Jake Scott. Thanks for watching, guys. 2 in the morning.